Hello everyone, I'm Inula Sultani. This is my analysis on discussion number 4. Firstly, the first question makes reference to the EDLP model. Here is the model, as you can see illustrated here. I inverted the image so that it fits a black background. I hope you can see that clearly. So Chapter 8 of Mastering Self-Leadership discusses the EDLP model in terms of leadership approaches. How can you apply this model in your spheres of leadership? Before I go further, I would like to make reference to the 4 forms of leadership that are being portrayed in this model: self-leadership, charismatic leadership, transformational leadership, empowerment leadership. For illustration purpose, you can see where self-leadership lies. Serves as an umbrella to all other forms of leadership: charismatic, transformational, and empowerment. So to my response: first of all, I appreciate the model. Secondly, I'm concerned as to the validity of the model. If indeed it is valid, then research being carried to make this model and whatnot, then I actually strongly believe that I can use it as a guide in managing different stages of our personal business, or different stages within the work environment, in determining which leadership to implement. I'm a businessman myself, and these are the sort forms of leadership I need to take note of as I approach these different stages in my business. Like I said, I agree strongly that self-leadership is the most important, and as illustrated within that diagram, you do notice that it actually is the umbrella that enables the leader to implement all other forms of leadership. Without proper self-leadership, there's no way that one can manage themselves properly to realize that, hey, between stage 1 and 2, I need to be implementing charismatic leadership, enable to launch my project. Or that in stage 3, I need to be implementing transformational form of leadership, so I can begin to grow my business and get it towards where it becomes stable. So self-leadership is very important, as we know at this point, obviously. The next question focuses on how we deal with failure. In Chapter 8 of Rebuilding Leadership discusses the concept of failing. Discuss this topic in regard to being your best when failure hits. What are your thoughts on how you can use this leadership advice? So I wanted to divide this discussion into 2 parts: dealing with your own failure and dealing with failure of others. So on to dealing with your own failure. Using my emotions for motion is actually something that I really liked from the text, because I can actually associate with that because of the fact that I do use my emotions from failure to motivate and inspire me to react better from that failure. Usually, obviously, there's disappointment right after the failure. As opposed to dwelling on that disappointment, what I tend to do is I use this disappointment, as some sort of fuel to do or perform better than the performance that resulted in my failure. So, for example, as a student, if I were to perform badly in my first quiz, exam, or test, I am more likely, and this is a fact as far as I'm concerned, relating to me, I'm more likely to perform better for the rest of the semester because I become more focused. I go back to the basics. I reconnect with what's really important. I study, I do my homework early, I ask questions, connect with group members, have study group sessions, prepare properly for quizzes. And by the end of the semester, my performance usually is great. Whereas in situations where I've done good on my first exam, I've usually, to be honest, been more relaxed, and less attentive, if I were to compare both scenarios. So that's one way I react to failure. And I like other points made in the text, like being more thoughtful, being calm, being collected. It's something that I will and I'm working on trying to impose on how I deal with my personal failure. And also very, very important is to invite feedback, because a lot of times our opinion of what may have resulted in our failure can be biased in some form. So it's better to get an external view. What does someone else think about us? What do we need to work on? What do we need to improve? And not just take that feedback, but to learn from it and to improve using it. So the next part is dealing with failures of others. I think it is critical to manage ourselves, when failure hits. And so when dealing with other people's failures, as a good leader, we should actually be at our best when others are at their worst. We need to be that person that they can look up to. We need to be that person that creates solutions as opposed to compound on, those failures. And how do we do that? We need to be calm. We need to not lash at our team members. It's very important, and this goes to, I can attest to that, being a coach, being a business manager, lashing out at, some co-employees. So it's really important that when others experience failure, to try to find a better way to manage that so that we don't lose their respect. And also being compassionate is very important as a leader. I feel as if more of the team members are likely to want to work for the benefit of the team if the leader is compassionate. So that sums it up for my analysis of discussion number 4. Here are my references, and I hope that everything I said made sense.